Hello, my name is Larry Belfield. Welcome to the show. And this episode, I'm going to give you a little warning that it does get a little gruesome. We talk about some very stressful topics. This is about the birth city of the Muslims, and it does go through some graphical content about what they went through there. So, this will also be in the description, the story of Yathrib, Medinah. Okay, Muhammad is saved. Now, I got here looking for the real estate advice, right? Now I see something that has me speechless. It took a real month, all right, to get back to this. If you look at the timestamp for this report, there is a gap from the end of May to the end of July. To the beginning of July. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And believe it or not, I had to go help a friend with his property. My friend has a nice house on the river, and he's got about a good 10 feet above water. So he has a deck out there on the water, right? And he has all of these very healthy trees. And what happened is, there's one tree that's very big and is weak, and what happened is that one of the tree limbs snapped off and smashed the stairs leading down to his dock and totally messed it up. So we spent the next 2 months, actually it took a couple of days to remove all the debris, and we spent the next 2 months building a brand new deck. Now the time I spent would be unbelievable. The time I spent there would be unbelievably key to my research. See, I tear up when I think about it. See, when I returned to finish, I could hardly sit down. See, what's going on? See, Jesus and Muhammad connected. Once you begin this study, it just makes me want to know more and more. So what happened to this great man? See, Yathrib is a city that has a mass following of Muslims. The city accepted them and their ways. However, I'm finding it very hard to find a time when there was no violence. Now, you would expect that they're Muslims. Of course they're violent, right? They're going to be the violent ones. However, what is here is very disturbing. Very disturbing indeed. Now, this part is violent. So if you want to skip, you can skip this portion now. Okay? I'll wave my hand in the air now, and then after, you can come back. See, the Muslims cause such a disturbance in the region because of their ways. Okay? War is enacted upon them. I know they were friendly. They were just talking about saving people. They were feeding people with the 5 pillars. The Muslims are now hunted, tortured, and slaughtered. They are stripped of their rights and of what they own. They are put into groups. They're murdered. Women and children are especially targeted so they can't propagate the race. People are being stoned. They're having molten metal poured on them so that they dissolve. They're setting them ablaze and burning them at the stake. Everything that they were doing to the people of Jesus. And worse for all religions. Or worse for all the regions around. No one is allowed to actually feed or help a Muslim. If you do, you will suffer the same fate, or worse, your family too. Read right here. Now you can come back. I don't want to push your burden. Okay. Why don't you hear about these things? Because you got to be really sick to look them up. That's what. Okay? So then I realized I look for property value. See, real estate, right? I was disgusted. It was like throwing up in my mouth. I was like, man, how can man claim ever claim to be anything like God with making moves like these. Now, this is a bad move. Now, Muhammad wasn't trying to hurt anyone. Now, how can the Lord let this happen? Well, anyway, he and his people were scattered to the wind. Now, he escaped capture only by an act of God. You have to read up on the story of Muhammad in the cave, being hidden by a spider's web. He was trying to get... Oh, God. We have to... That story is for later. I can't tell it to you right now. Okay. Now, he escaped capture by an act of God. However, the place he finally is able to find safety. This is the kicker. Okay. The only place he is able to find safety is with a community that is run by Christians. Whoa. See, now is a good time to ask, what? Okay. Now, what would be the reason to spread such a tactic on a peaceful people? See, how can you be allowed to just hunt and kill? Now, after reading the word, my first thought was women. See, let me tell you about this story of Abraham. Okay, remember the story of Abraham and his wife. Now, what happened was that he was saying to his wife, act like you're my sister. Because if they think you're my wife, they'll just kill me and they'll just take you and take you for their wife. So what happened is he says that she's a sister, and they get whisked straight to Pharaoh, where Pharaoh marries her. Okay? Now these verses are back to back. All right, they don't come with talk or, with the fine gentleman that had intentions of selling my wife. You know what I'm saying? They don't talk about the cover. They don't cover the walk to the palace. Okay? Or how many men it took to drag Abraham into it. So you don't know how much later, but the Pharaoh found out that they were married. In the scriptures it said that they could see that they were really in love with each other. And he was upset that, why did you say this is your sister when we can clearly see it's your wife? That love upset his house. And he was able to let them go their way. Now Abraham loved his wife much. Now he had very few wives. He had so much compassion for his one wife that it upset the kingdom to see them apart. So how did the king get married to her? Just for saying sister. See, I figure that it may be varying degrees between these 2 points. Point 1. Either the king has droves of troops scouring the city for beautiful young women, and he'll pay a handsome reward for any woman of marrying age to be brought to him. Or Abraham's wife was so damn fine that they had to make a triple cut, a special trip. Because God must have broken the mold on that one. You know what I'm saying? So going up to the time of Muhammad, peace be upon him, we see a radical change in the way women are treated. You see, we know that women run businesses. He worked for a woman. See, by the time he dies, women are running societies. Women are now getting their marriage dowry directly. Women can divorce men. Actually, these things are like we have today. The prophet suggested that if you take a wife out of love, and that if you want to take another wife, you must treat her equally. See, after the prophet's death, they named his empire after his 2 daughters that he had with the woman that he only married so that their family would have access to the money. So, toward the end of his life, he married these women so that those families would have eternal access to his wealth. So that the bloodlines forever would be connected to him. So he married them so that they can have money, so that they would be taken care of. So he only really married really truly to love and to give, not to attain and to get like everyone else was doing. See, this is why they tried to stop him. I bet you thousands of women were flocking to his city because they had an equal share. Women can own property. Women can run business, whether you're just subject to your wife or back there. See, this is why they were so cruel to him. Because he was freeing people. He was freeing women. So I had just stumbled on the greatest love that we have ever known. But I was wrong. All I thought, I didn't know, but I didn't know that I was wrong yet. See, I began to research the sexual habits of men from different periods of time. And what I came across is somewhat weird. There are some creatures that mate and some creatures that do not. There are some creatures that stay in groups and there are some that do not. See, we as humans have always stayed in groups. We're not like pack animals, but we're like grazers. See, we stay in eye shot of the major group. However, we don't always hang with the crowd. Some may venture way out off on their own without ever coming near the mass population. See, in my search to find out how sexually violent man has become over the years, I find that the average man only has several women in his life. The fact that we remember kings like Solomon that had 700 wives and 300 concubines. See, we automatically think that all men were like this. And they all wanted to be thousands of wives, 27 virgins, right? See, there are stories and stories of filth, of not men, but kings. The best of us, the strongest of us, the most powerful of us. See, I have researched, after all that I've researched, and all that I've found is only one thing. I found one thing to be true through all the rumors, through all the powerful men, through all of the rulers, is that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. See, in this land, men are hunting and searching and stealing and killing for as many wives as possible. And see, Muhammad is a man that only marries for love. And that is our show for this week. And I thank you for joining me, Larry Belfield, on the Belfield Show. In our next week's episode, we will be talking about men with absolute power.